Hey guys, I want to walk you through a real life situation on how to change a fill valve inside this toilet tank. So let's get to work. Okay guys, you know the drill by now. We have to go down and shut our water off. And how do we shut our water off? We shut it off all the way to the right. All the way to the right is off. And then we can proceed to go up top and start to remove the existing valve. Okay guys, here we are with a bird's eye view of inside the toilet tank, and at this stage the water inside your tank should be up approximately about 1 inch below the overflow tube. If it's not, it may need some adjusting, but at this stage the water's off and we're interested in changing out that valve. That's this orange valve here. So what we're going to do, or what I do, first thing I do is I go hit the tank lever and I get this flapper to lift up, and most of the water is going to empty out of the tank, but not all of the water. When it gets down to the bottom of the flush valve, you're still going to have a couple of inches of water left. What I do, I take out the old trusty turkey baster. Now, you have two choices. You can take this and you can transfer the water into the bowl. Just suck up the water and transfer it to the bowl. You can transfer it into a bucket. Or what I do sometimes is I'll actually just pop the flapper off. And I will squeeze the water out of the tank and I'm just basically transferring it into the bowl. So that's a pretty neat little tip I can give you. So now we get most of the water out of here, and naturally we can't get all of it out. So when we're left with a little residual on the bottom, then we go in with our sponge and we're going to sponge everything out. At that point, we can go down to the bottom and proceed to dismantle the fill valve. Here we are down below the tank, and at this stage you have a couple of choices in terms of tools. The channel lock is always a great tool to use in a situation like this, as such, always reliable. But over the years I've come to have an affection for my small little 6-inch wrench here. It gets into a lot of small spots, very handy tool to have. That's just me. You can most certainly use your channel lock. So at this stage, it's a matter of loosening the nut for the water supply tube, and depending upon what type of a nut is on there, it might be metal, might be a little hard to get off. You might have to use your tool. In this case here, this is a plastic nut onto a plastic shank, so that's going to come off by hand. So we're going to take that off. And as you do this, you're going to get water out of here. It's going to dribble a little bit, so you'll have your sponge on the bottom and you can catch the dribble. And we can put this off to the side, just get it out of our way. And now we'll take, or at least I'll take my favorite 6-inch wrench here and loosen the lock nut. And once we get that loose, this refill valve will come out, and I'll take you up top and we'll show you how to pull that straight out. All right, folks, at this point it's just a matter of reaching in and unclipping your overflow tube from the, unclipping the refill tube from the overflow tube, and you can lift your valve right out as such. Okay, folks, now it's just a matter of reversing the procedure. As I explained to you at the beginning of the video, I did a tabletop version and explained in detail about adjusting the height of your new fill valve. So I have already done that. This fill valve has a locking cap nut here. Some of them have a screw cap nut, but this is a twist and pull lock nut. And I already adjusted my height up and down to where the top of my valve is going to be about 1 inch below the toilet tank. So at this point, we're ready to put it back down inside of the toilet tank. So bear in mind, this is a new valve. And what we have to do now is jump down to the bottom and get that lock nut on there, which is a pretty simple process. So we're just reversing what we did when we took the old one off. So I am going to get my trusty 6-inch wrench and tighten up my lock nut. And again, I'll always keep reminding you guys that this is China, so you can't get crazy in terms of tightening these things. You can't whack them terribly tight. but you got to get them snug and you got to get them waterproof. And what I like to do is set my valve, depending upon the tank configuration, at a 45-degree angle. But again, that's subject to what type of a tank you're working with. I mean, you could set these straight as such, but generally I like to set mine at a 45-degree angle. Now at this stage, what I'll do is put my refill tube back in the overflow tube. And now it's a matter of turning the water on, but before we do that, we have to tie our water supply tube in. So that I'll do. We're going to reverse the procedure. I'm going to get my water supply tube, tie it to the bottom of the shank. And again, this is plastic to plastic, and this is a pretty new tank supply tube and a new valve. So you hold your valve, and then you want to go hand tight plus maybe a quarter of a turn. Well, maybe a half a turn. You'll feel it. You'll get some resistance there. And then you can stop. You can back that off. At this stage, it's a matter of turning your water on. And we'll go back down to the bottom, and where we turned it off to the right, we're going to go opposite now. We're going to go to the left. As we turn our valve on, the water is going to start to come in, and the tank is going to start to fill up. In the meantime, while this is happening, I'm going to flip my flapper back and clip that back on there because we took it off previously. And what we're going to do on an initial startup here is I'm going to hold the float down so it fills up with water as the tank starts to fill up. Once that happens, our ideal water height is going to be about 1 inch below the overflow tube. And if we're a little low, or we're much higher, or the water's actually going into the overflow tube, there's an adjustment here. And you can use a Phillips screwdriver, or you can use your hand, and you can lower the float or raise the float to fine-tune the height of your water to be about 1 inch below your overflow tube. Once you have that all set and you're satisfied that you have no leaks, then it's just a matter of flushing it a couple of times and testing it out. You're going to flush it, you're going to test it out, you're going to go down on the bottom, you're going to make sure you have no leaks at all. And at that stage, guys, you're finished. It's not really that difficult to do. There are a lot of different manufacturers of refill valves. What I'll do one day is do just to give you a little history on the old style refill valves that had the brass rod and the copper ball here on the end. I mean, that's what I was broken into this business with. But today, most of what you're going to find is a modern type refill valve, such as I have here, made by an array of manufacturers. But that's pretty much it for this video, folks. So again, as always, please visit the site, bobsplumbingvideos.com. Email me questions, info@bobsplumbingvideos.com. And I hope to see you soon in the next video. Stay well.